You should.
Deborah, Deborah, don't.
All right, let's get started. All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Raccomando,
Present.
Ms. Ianello,
Present.
Mr. Laurentino,
Present.
Ms. Mahoney,
Here.
Mr. Quinn,
Here.
Ms. Robinson,
Here.
Ms. Roloff, Mr. Shearer, Ms. Zottarelli.
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all members of the Board of Education and to the Bergen Record in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, 1975. The purpose of this meeting is to discuss and develop the district and board goals for the 21-22 school year with administrators and the New Jersey School Board representative. There's no public, so okay. Okay, we're good. So I'll turn it over to you. Okay.
Testing. All right. First of all, thank you to my leadership team who came here this evening, and I really appreciate it. And they helped me develop these goals as well. So this was a team effort. And the first goal goes along with our one-to-one initiative. So this school year, we started providing Chromebooks to students in grades 5, 6, 9, and 10, along with the teachers of those grades. And you can see there, so the first goal is to really just do this effectively, provide equitable access to technology and the resources. And you can see the bullet pointed list as to how we are going to do so this school year. Does anyone from the leadership team have anything to add to that first goal?
Observing teachers. I'm sorry, you guys can't hear me. We've been observing teachers, and the teachers have been using it in class. We've been reminding them to use it in class, and so so far, so good.
Yes, it's a process, as Mr. Mice shared. The insurance, collecting the insurance payments, the parents completed via Genesis a video, training video. The students all completed a training with our district data coordinator before receiving their Chromebook. So they just recently did receive them all. The cases were back ordered. Now they all have arrived. So as long as everyone paid and were ready to go, then they received their Chromebook. Any other additions? Our second goal is kind of builds upon what we've done the past couple of years with our wellness and mindfulness. And this time around, we're prioritizing mental health. That was definitely a need that the team observed this school year with everybody coming back in person all day. And again, through those bullet pointed lists, you can see what our plan is for this school year. But we do have a SAC counselor. We are partnering up with Care Plus. Care Plus will be giving us a person, they said, starting the end of October. They are currently interviewing, and they said I would have the final interview to make sure the person is a good fit. Second step is a social emotional learning program that we purchased this year for K to 6. Any additions from my team?
The morning meetings are going really well at the elementary level with full participation from specialists and related services providers, and really building a community, not just within the classroom, but a whole school community. And the teachers are feeling more and more comfortable, and the kids are feeling more and more comfortable, and we're noticing that it's really helping them feel, settled back at school.
Thank you. And that
Hold on, DJ.
I was just going to kind of like what I shared earlier today. Like it's been, like I'm so glad like that, that we have some of these extra resources, because it's been a serious concern. I know just in other high schools, middle school, elementary schools, like certainly throughout Bergen County, because we see what they're posting. Discipline's been up. We've had more, kids getting sent out, for, harming themselves, harming others. So, this is definitely a great goal, and we need all the support that we get. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And that the Teen Mental Health First Aid, that's the grant that we were awarded from the National Council for Mental Wellbeing. And that starts with training 2 of our staff members in Teen Mental Health First Aid. And then they in turn train other staff members, and you target a grade level. So we're targeting 10th grade. And hopefully that will start it'll probably be the winter, spring of this school year. And you're training the 10th graders on how to speak with peers, and how to be a support system essentially to their peers, and when to go to a trusted adult, what questions to ask, things like that. Our last goal has to do with transitioning our intervention and referral services program to New Jersey tiered system of supports. This is a New Jersey Department of Education initiative. And the way we're doing it in Saddlebrook is we actually hired a total of 9 interventionists, 3 in each K-6 building. And what that enables us to do is provide tiered levels of intervention in our 3 K-6 buildings. So using our Linkit data, using our Start Strong data, each school has their own data team. And what these data teams have started doing is they have dedicated days that they're going through the student data, their performance on these assessments. And from there, they're identifying those students that are going to receive Tier 2 and Tier 3 instruction. So what that means is everybody receives Tier 1. Tier 1 instruction is the instruction that every student receives. I need to breathe. I don't know how you do it. Tier 2 would be the next level. Tier 2 instruction are students that will either get push-in or pull-out support, an extra 30 minutes a day, extra 30 minutes 3 days a week, on top of what all the students in Tier 1 are receiving. And then Tier 3 is that higher level tier, that's more intensive intervention, that they're seeing, they're being pulled out into smaller groups, either 1-to-1, 1-to-2, and they're receiving that ideally 5 days a week for 30 minutes a day. So having those interventionists is what enables us to do that at the K-6 level. And at the middle school, high school level, we're working with the administrative team there to try to devise the best way to get those interventions in place as well. Anything to add from the leadership team?
It's been exciting to see it roll out, a vision that we had back in the spring for how we were going to help our students to, interventions beginning this past week, and seeing those students working in small groups at the tables, which we were able to bring them back to the classroom. It's really starting to look and feel more like an elementary school. And it's exciting to see it in action now.
Just to piggyback off of that, I think the thing that's nice is that we're able to reach more students. We feel that this year more than ever, there are all these kids that are going to have gaps and that are having delays in certain areas from the past year and a half of a different type of education. And I know basic skills teachers have always felt like they couldn't get to everyone. And now to have these additional people that can push into the room and support within, as well as pull the more intensive, allows for a lot of flexibility. And I think the staff are really appreciating having those extra supports in place. Before, we didn't mention the extra counselor in the elementary level. I will say that has been excellent. We really need our counselors. So when one is dealing with something or one is absent, we have someone who can come over, and then it really makes it a cohesive setting for everyone. And we feel like everyone's able to be supported all the time. So both of those additions are great.
Thank you. Questions? So great question. So the middle school, high school, they do have a school data team. They have already met at least one full day and a half, and they've already created their sheets as to the students that need the different tiers. They group them into tier 2 and tier 3, along with the standards that they need support with. And then that information is going to be shared with their teachers if it hasn't already. Jump in anytime. And
So it was
they did a fabulous job with this sheet, by the way, and they linked all the standards. It's amazing.
So it was shared out yesterday at to the teachers at their department level data team reviews, and then in terms of the intervention we're providing, like that's what we're kind of ironing out right now. Whether that be something in the morning, something at lunchtime, that'd probably be a little more challenging, or after school. So that's some of what we're trying to iron out right now, and how we're going. So we don't have dedicated staff for it. But so obviously it's going to become more of like a, maybe we give somebody, like an hourly for working after school or in the morning. That's right now what our vision is for how we could provide that.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board?
I kind of like doing this now when you're kind of into it a little bit. The last time we did it was August. It was like the vision for the year, but having you have lived with it for 2 months and get some feedback and see how it's going, I think that's a nice piece to it today.
Thank you. And the data teams, those meetings are already on the calendar at a minimum one time per month. At a minimum, that way they have that dedicated time to look at the student data, because that was one of the things that we spoke about as a team. Was we have the Lincoln assessment, now we have the Start Strong assessment, but there's never time to go through it. So the thought is these school data teams will have the time to be able to go through it and then share it with the teachers.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to thank the leadership team. They helped devise these goals. They play a huge role in implementing these goals. And thank you for being here. Thank you for the support. Very appreciated. That's it.
Thank you so much. Yes, Miss Coffee. Use the mic because of the streaming.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry. Just want to thank the board and Tony really for coming into the role seamlessly and helping us and supporting us and giving us the funding, approving the funding for everything that we needed additionally. It's very much appreciated. The students really appreciate it as well.
Yes, you are. Thank you very much. Have a great night. Thank you.
And now I think that since Matt's going to be putting stuff up here, if you want to look here, you can. If you want to come sit out there, if that's easier, whatever. The board.
Ready to roll, Kelly? All right. So, we've done this a number of times together as a Board of Education, and we've actually already gone through a lot of the material that we would have gone through together as a board through Ms. Violetti's team. So I'm going to skip ahead here on a lot of these slides. Not catching it. Hello? Is that better? Yeah, it is a mess. So again, I'm going to skip ahead across a number of slides, but I did want to stop and visit our favorite slide from goal setting, which talks about the difference between what a district goal is and what a board goal is. So we talked about the fact many times in the past that everyone owns the district goals, right? Because they are formed through a collaboration of the board and the administration. They are based on the trends and data that the administration sees as most critical to advancing student achievement in the district in the 12 months going forward. And you as a Board of Education have committed to work with them to develop the funding to support those goals, and also are responsible for monitoring the progress of those goals. And that will happen through conversations that you have with your administrators through the course of the year. We recommend, of course, that there be scheduled updates on goals at intervals that make sense based on the nature of the goal. You'll see in the slides that I have tonight that we throw out a sort of quarterly schedule for you, but it really needs to work with those goals that you've set and make sense with that. So whatever update the board sees as beneficial to keeping them on top of it is what you guys should work toward. Now, when we talk about board goals are really related to the processes and procedures that the board owns. And in the past, we have made that distinction, and we've set goals that really speak to how you work together as a governance team. And that's really the way this is supposed to work. And the way that boards monitor themselves is through the board self-evaluation. Now, I know that was a goal for tonight, but we really didn't get as much participation on that document that we had hoped for. And I did go through what was input, and there really wasn't anything that jumped out to me as a theme other than, we really have to recover from this pandemic because, it's really thrown everything upside down. So, it's not a document that was worth reviewing here tonight. So we're just going to move ahead with talking about where we were in the last year with our goals. So this is the district goal portion. So I'm skipping through that. So now we're looking at previous year's board goals. And I know that we have had conversation and emails back and forth about how we kick off strategic planning in Saddlebrook, because that was a board goal prior. But through a number of different things that have happened in the district across the last 12 months, we've never really got that, on its feet. So that may be something we want to revisit tonight. As it relates to the other two board goals, you had a policy goal that was related to equity. And I just wanted to get an assessment from you before we move forward as to how much progress we made there. So Kelly, if you want to start there, or Tony, if you want to speak to that. Okay, that's fine. Certainly this wouldn't be the first place where goals have been, sort of sidetracked for a while, right? So, sorry, what's the name? Yeah. It's true. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. literally the world was turned upside down when it comes to education. So, all the best laid plans that you had in the spring of 2019 for 2020 and in the spring of 2020 for 2021, you did what you could. You tried to survive. You tried to provide a beneficial educational experience for kids who were basically scattered around your towns for a period of time, and then working out of closed schools for a period of time. So, it really threw everybody for a loop. So, okay. As it relates to the equity piece and policy, that really didn't get much attention, understandably. And then the third goal here, where we wanted to get presentations and professional development for the board through NJSBA. I don't think we ever had the hidden bias presentation, but we can certainly schedule that. And, the board self-evaluation we've already discussed. So, okay, I think I have a good assessment of where we got to last year, or didn't get to. So, what are going to be the priorities for the board going forward? And again, these are things that we want to talk about as they relate to your professional development relative to governance. What does board self-evaluation say, of course, and is there anything that you need to know in order to help support district goals? So I'll throw that open to you as a board.
We should focus a goal on bringing back the public and letting the public know they can trust us to what we're doing and that we're here to listen to them. That I feel like they felt like they weren't being heard. Yeah.
Or the fact that maybe they weren't getting the information that they should have been getting.
Okay.
Right.
So as it relates to the board's activity as opposed to the district activity, is there anything on the communications front that you guys would change about how you worked? So I get that the district, which is sort of the main source of communication for the school community, may want to change the way they did things. But what about for you guys, particular as a board? Because I think there's a very sort of narrow vertical slice of the communication pie that is a duty of the boards, right? And I think one of them would be related to a strategic plan, right? If you look at your main responsibilities as a board, right, you have planning as one of those, right? So if a board wants to invite the public in to become part of that process, well, that's a very legitimate activity for the board to engage in, right? You might need the help of the administration, but that comes from you. But for the most part, communication comes out of central office. So if there is a communication goal, maybe it gets wrapped into inviting the public in to hear what they want for the future of the schools. So is it safe to say, if we go back, that we do want to continue with goal number 1, right? Okay. And it's perfectly fine to say we want to keep all of these because, you guys had intent with those, you just didn't have the right circumstances. So if you want to keep those as they are, great. If you want to add to them as well, I would just suggest to you that you be mindful of what your role is in those goals. Sure.
So I think we continuously do that. We do have the policy meetings. So we are updating them. This related to being equitable with certain groups, making sure that there was equity amongst all of our student body, which I do agree with that. But I think the focus needs to be a little bit more broader now with that. So taking that and maybe actually in doing something about it, but as well as now looking at the pandemic or the results of the pandemic and the needs of the students now too. So we were focusing on one maybe particular groups or two that were excluded. Now all of our students are excluded because of one way or another. So maybe taking that and rewording it would be a better approach.
Okay. So
If I may, that's a good way of putting it. So as a leadership team, that was something that we spoke about as well. And that's where the mental health piece came into play. Because when we thought about our goals and the professional development and practically being practical about it, the actual time that we have with our staff to provide professional development, it was more prioritizing mental health at this moment for our students, for our staff, for the school community. Part of what the SAC and Care Plus will do are parent presentations as well, involving the school community. So that was where the leadership's mindset was at, just to provide you some insight.
I just want to point out that the focus of that goal was really rooted in the board's role as a policymaker, right? What Tony's describing is all very relevant and very needed, but that's on the operational side of the district. So if there was an intent to also revisit policy related to some of the things Tony's talking about, that's a great board goal. And it, also, if there's a an evident need to review policy on a broad basis, that's also a very relevant goal for boards. I just don't want to get the two roles mixed up.
So maybe we try to focus it on policy that has to relate to mental health and the care of our students and whatever those policies might be, or whatever
Sure.
policies we might need to add to help our students have a method for whatever it is they need. That if there needs to be a policy on referring kids for Care Plus or something like that, that maybe that's what that goal should be then. Does that make sense?
And yes, our policies, because already at this point in the year, we are noticing there's some confusion. SAC position is new, the Care Plus position is new. And we have already started looking at the policies, and there definitely does need to be revisions for that reason.
Awesome.
Okay.
So my question to you for a goal going forward, would it be, do we want to focus on policies or updating the policies that relate to student services as they return to school from the pandemic,
Yeah,
plus equity, or just one, or just the other, or?
Created as well as created some of these, the SAC coordinator, we didn't have that position. So those policies need to be created.
Sure.
And then other ones will need to be revised.
Yep.
So I would say it's create and revise.
Okay, that's fine. But both areas?
Yeah, yes, I would say both areas,
Okay.
yes.
Excellent. Okay. And number 3, I assume that we're still interested in having some PD, which we can provide through NJSBA. And, part B of that, I think we have to get a sort of renewed sense of, commitment to follow through on that. We really need to get the entire board's contributions to that to make it a meaningful document. So, I believe 5. Right, self-eval. I know what's complete, so. Are you talking about the superintendent evaluation? Right. There were no partially done ones. Like if it says it started, I get a note that says it was started, but it's not completed. And those who didn't complete didn't start either. Was it 5 or 4, Ray? I think it was 4 incomplete, 4 not started, and 5 complete. Yep. But I have to say that those who did, it was clear that there wasn't a lot of time spent on it. I'd be lying if I said I remembered everybody who didn't do it. It used to be. Yep. It's certainly a best practice, and it's certainly something that you would want to do before you started to set board goals, because that's the whole point. What happened? Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, so, all right. There's that. So,
Yeah, it was a rough time. It was, I think I look back at my email, was July. We were, going through a change, trying to find a new superintendent. So it just wasn't, followed up thoroughly. We thought we were doing the goals in August. That got pushed to September, got pushed till tonight. So
yeah,
it's what it is. We have to move forward.
let's not use this as an opportunity to beat ourselves up, right? Obviously, we have things that we have intended to work on, and I don't know that everybody jumping in on this would have changed a lot of these, but thinking about it as we move forward, just keep in mind that it can be a very valuable tool for sort of highlighting those things where you want to improve yourselves. So if it'll help, I'll nag you next year too. So are we happy with these, or did we want to add anything to the board goals? Okay. Sure. Okay. Sure. I will. Okay. I'm fine with that. Okay. So it sounds like we're good. I'm going to recap as I typically do in a memo that I'll send to Kelly and to Tony. And, let me go back through this. So just as we normally do with district goals, we're going to have the board approve those as their goals. Recommendation is that you post them as well. Just another aspect of accountability for you. There should be an action plan for those goals, and typically Kelly, as a board president, would write those. They are not nearly as detailed as what the administration will put together for those initiatives that we adopt as district goals, but they should have a timeline. They should have indicators of success. They should have any resources you might need to accomplish them. For instance, a policy goal, you may need to, pay for some of that. So, do put that together. And then, as we suggested with the district goals, we should revisit them periodically and say, hey, we haven't gotten on that policy goal. We really need to set meetings. Let's get a meeting schedule together and work toward that.
I have a question. So now, these meetings, so the administration does periodically gives us an update. Should we as the board be giving an update to the community on our board goals?
I mean, you certainly can, and it does happen frequently. Usually it would come from the administration because they're the ones who are most well-versed in district goals. If you want to report out on your board goals as well, I think the community would be delighted.
And then two, as far as the strategic plan.
Yeah.
Who is writing that up? Okay. So,
If you use us, it will be me.
which I think we will. Okay. So now it's not you alone though. So you'll be meeting.
What do you have in mind?
What are the steps for that? What is the approach?
Yes, I can. Yep. Trying to think if I have a presentation on my hard drive, my flash drive. All right. So here's the way it works. And I thought I did talk to the board about this already. Okay. So,
Matt, can I just ask a quick question? It's me, over here.
oh, Angela. Hi.
Yeah, I'm hiding back here now. So yeah, we need to know the process, but I think the sooner we do this, the better. I think we're already a year back. We're behind. It's already October. Like, if we can, as a board, go ahead with this as this goal and really kind of work on a quicker, getting it started and getting it moving so we can reach it and make sure we're doing what we need to do. You tell us the process. I know you did last time. I think we asked the same question, but now we have to put it into action. Now we have to do it.
All right.
Just my thoughts.
Yeah. All right.
I just agree with what Angela said. I just think the last year we've been so focused on getting through the pandemic, and not that we're through it now, but it seems like a year and a half we really have a good hold of what we're doing. So now we can really focus on actually getting a plan in place, because that's where we can look in that other direction as opposed to just narrowly focused to where we were. But I think as a board, we actually need to do it. I think now is a good time. We're getting along well. I think this is a really good chance for us to get it in place. And the plan, I guess Tony's contract's 4 or 5 years, I don't even know. But it can coincide with that many years, so we can say, hey, we're here at point A in this year, and then where are we going to be in 4 years? So I think it's a real good opportunity for us to work on that now.
So our process delivers a 5-year strategic plan, okay? And it basically works in 3 meetings with the community. And it starts out, well, actually there's a 4th meeting and a 5th meeting, but that doesn't involve the community. So I would come in and I would meet with Tony and the team and possibly Kelly and maybe Michelle. And we just talk about what the roles for everyone in this process are, okay? We would decide how we're going to stage it, where we're going to have the community come in, all those kind of details. That would be kind of like the pre-meeting, if you will. Then meeting 1, we have the community come in. We have them work in small groups. We have them listen to a presentation by the superintendent that says, here's where we are today, state of the district, we call it. And then from that, we would send the community off into small groups to talk about what are the strengths and challenges that they know exist in the district today, right? So basically that's kind of level setting where we are. That whole meeting is about level setting. Meeting number 2 is about visioning. And it's like, if you had no barriers, where would you like to see the district in 5 years? What are the things that you hope for our children for the next 5 years, right? And that, after the level setting piece is the aspirational piece. Where do we want to be? And at the end of meeting 2 is when we decide what are the main themes that have been evident out of meeting 1 and meeting 2. So out of our strengths and challenges and out of our desires, if you will, what are the 3 to 5 main areas that we want to work in? Those 3 to 5 areas become the working group areas for meeting 3. And at meeting 3, we take those high-level goal areas. I'll just make one up, for example, physical plant or 21st century learning environment, right? That would be a theme that would come out of it. And then people would self-select one of those 3 to 5 themes, and then they would go in there and they would write a goal statement about what they want to happen in that area. And then they would write a short list of 5 to 7 or so objectives that they would like to see happen under that goal area. And that provides the framework for what becomes the guts of the strategic plan, which is the action plan, very much like your annual goal action plan, that lays out the details of how we accomplish those things. So what are the programs we need in place? What are the tactics we need to change? What's the professional development we need in order to achieve all that stuff? So it's a combination of the work that we do with our community and then the work that the administration puts together to actualize all those things. So that's strategic planning in a nutshell. Angela.
Okay, so what's the time frame for these 3 meetings?
Okay.
A month, 2 months, you know, gonna take a long time, so that's.
I love you,
what I'm
Angela.
saying.
Board members don't even have to be present, to be frank. So I'm not too worried about whether you're getting new board members or not. So to answer Angela's question, it's about the worst time right now because I have, I think, 1 date left in my calendar in the next 2 months for a district to use. Not too many in December. And if I bring this in and ask for support from my team, you know, in October, November, they'll kill me, right? We just don't have the bandwidth right now. That being said, I think we can do this inside of a month. I would caution you, though, that if you're going to do this and you want like a robust community participation, that you bump your potential schedule up against the activities in the district. So you're not going up against winter concerts and you're not going up against basketball games and all that kind of stuff that might draw people away or make them or compete for their attention. So it's highly dependent on what you guys have going on and what you think would be, you know, the most optimal scenario to get the most participation. I have done this, like I said, inside of a month, but that was, you know, a virtual thing, so it was a little bit easier. Our normal process is it takes 3 months, right? So we'll pick a day each month, but I will work through your schedule.
Get one in December, January, February? Sorry.
This December is really problematic unless you can get the first week. Otherwise, people have many other things on their plate. That being said, if I have an open date and I can risk homicide by my team, I will try and do that. My recommendation to you would be to start in the second week of January. And then, you know, based on what else you have going on, if we can schedule them every 2 weeks or whatever, we can try to do that. It takes me about 2 to 3 weeks after we're done to put everything together and basically deliver booklets, right? And keep in mind, that's only part one, right? That's the part we do with the community, and then there's a part that the administration has to do as well. So my suspicion is that, you know, you're probably looking at May to June before you have a really solid plan. But maybe Tony's really good and you'll get it done in March.
She's really good.
It's
No
a
pressure.
big task. It really is. There's a lot of planning.
Rush it just because I hear what Angela's saying, but I wouldn't rush it because this is something we're going to do, spend 5 years, and if we're going to move the community or our district in the right direction, that takes time and planning. So we want to do it right, not do it.
That's why I'm saying you.
Trying to say that without saying that. In that. Yeah. Right. Well, right.
Later, because the
Right.
sooner we get started, this is meetings with the public, then there's more to it. This is just step one. You know
So
what I mean?
the meeting with the public, how much time should you suggest giving the public? Let's get, if we're gonna, I agree with, let's get the, you hear me? But are they hearing me? Because I felt like it was close enough here.
I hear you.
Okay. So how much time would you give the community a notice for something like this? Because I think our community was really invested in this and would like to see this done. So they would like to be part of it. So are we picking a date in January so we're giving them plenty of time, or do you have something sooner?
I would not want to pick a date sitting here. I would want some analysis of what's going on in the district first
Okay.
before you decide on the date.
Okay.
To me, if we pick dates in the next 2 weeks and we started to promote January dates now, that's plenty of time. Plenty of time.
But so you would give them a month's time?
Yeah, I think that's sufficient.
Okay.
I mean, and you would, it wouldn't be just a posting on your website, right? You'd have text blasts and email blasts and signs up at PTA meetings and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And, we have templates that you can work off of. We suggest that you do targeted invitations as well, because you're going to want to ask your municipal governing body. You're going to want to ask, faith leaders. You're going to want to ask service organizations and, club leaders and all that kind of stuff. You want a real mix of people.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of the religious leaders involved.
Sure. Absolutely.
All right. Interesting.
What other questions? Yeah.
Just from your perspective.
Uh-huh.
I mean, obviously this was a goal last year. We didn't get it off the ground. Is this something you think we could actually do with still COVID going on?
Doing it right now. That's why
Okay.
my calendar's so jammed up.
All right, so we can do it. It's just a matter of now just scheduling it and coming up with the commitment from the board that we actually want to do this and we think we can achieve it. I just want to make sure, and the superintendent's on board, correct? Correct. Okay, you're just far away. Oh, you're an important piece of the puzzle.
Really, I mean, we are dealing right now with essentially pent up demand. And I work with the 2 other reps here in the northern part of the state. We're crazy. And as much as I would like to start this tomorrow, we just don't have the bandwidth right now. What else? Sylvia, you said, how much does this cost? $4,000. I can send a contract to Mr. Karate. And, we can start planning almost immediately. I'm happy to have a meeting next week. And that'll help us get the ball rolling, help you get started on how you're going to promote it and the logistics of where you're going to keep it and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot to consider, a lot of planning to do. I can send Tony and Kelly some links to completed strategic plans that are on other districts' websites, show you exactly how our process works and what the outcome is. Yeah, absolutely. I think I may have done that already. Did I not, Steve? I think you started asking me about this first.
Is there some literature that we should be sending out to the community so
Yeah, that's part of what I would
Okay.
meet with the administration about.
All right. And so then Tony, you would be the one sending it. Okay.
Yep.
And it's important for them to know what it is, what it's all about, because we can't assume that everyone knows the strategic planning.
I did one in a district right before COVID that I had, the administration created a game as part of the intro to one of it. They did videos to invite people to come. It can get very, very elaborate. All depends on your time and resources and how you want to prioritize. I think that if you just do the stuff that we recommend, that you'll get a good turnout.
That's good too. So you don't want to I'll buy food.
Okay, what else can I help you guys with? All right. So as I mentioned before, I'll do my typical recap memo and send that to you within the next week or so. And you guys will have a set of goals to approve at your next meeting. And of course, any other questions, you know where to find me. Yeah, Angela.
Just real quick, you said we can do that equity training. Do you
Yeah.
have, like, can you give us a date, like, sooner for that, or?
I just have to check
Okay.
your schedule against the presenter schedule.
Okay,
As soon as I can put that together, it would likely be virtual at this point.
that's
but
fine.
Yeah, I can
All right,
put that
thank
together
you.
pretty quick. All right, I'm gonna grab my stuff and go home.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah.
Do we have to actually open? Mike's fine. No, really, you are. You're right. Oh, like. Bye, thank you, Matt.
Take care.
Just closing, right?
Okay, seeing as there is no public in the building, we will skip that part. And now I just need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So
Our
moved.
next meeting, thank you, we have a,
Yeah, voice.
yes, sorry. Our next meeting is next Wednesday, October 13th at 6 PM will be the caucus. And then at 7 PM will be the regular meeting. So all in favor of closing, adjourning? Okay, thank you so much. See you next week.
Thank you.